I would. Thank you. I have 2:30 as well. Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon to you. Okay, apparently we're recording. But welcome to everybody. I do want to thank you, as always, for your availability, especially on quick notice. We do try to keep it short, so hopefully it helps you get in and out of what you're trying to do. But thank you. We don't take it for granted. I do want to welcome Christopher Hansard. It's good to see him with us. He's coming to us from the other side, but good to have you, Chris, as a part of our meeting today. There are some members I do want to swear in. I don't know if Judge Render Hurd has made an appearance, but Judge Render Hurd, are you here? If not, we do have Judge Beryl Anderson. Judge, if you'll turn your camera on, we'll do the oath and get you official.
I'm all set. Can you see me?
I can see you now. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay.
All right. I'll just go through the oath. I'll ask you to listen to its terms. If you could abide by those at the end, indicate so by saying I do. I do swear or affirm that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent on me as a member of the Judicial Council of Georgia, according to the best of my ability and understanding. That as a member of the Judicial Council, I will endeavor to improve the administration of justice in this state for the benefit of the public, as well as the bench and bar. And that I will strive to improve the judicial system of this state as a whole, as well as in its parts. And that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Georgia. So help me God.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. And we look forward to having you not with us, but continuing with us. So thank you, Judge.
It's always a pleasure, Chief Justice.
I want to also congratulate Judge Greg Price, who is the new president of the Council of Juvenile Court Judges, effective June 1. So Judge Price, congratulations and glad to have you.
Thank you, Chief.
Ms. Clanton, can you take us through the roll call, please?
I'm happy to do that. Presiding Justice Namias.
I'm here.
Chief Judge Christopher McFadden.
Here.
Judge Rickman is not with us today. Judge Walter Davis.
Here.
Judge Wade Paget.
Here.
Judge Arthur Smith. Judge Jeffrey Kite.
Here.
Judge Melanie Cross. Judge Jim Sizemore.
Here.
Chief Judge Asha Jackson.
Here, good afternoon.
Chief Judge Christopher Brasher.
I'm here.
Chief Judge Fletcher Sams.
I'm here.
Double check.
All right.
Judge Robert Flournoy.
I'm here, thank you.
Chief Judge Sarah Wall.
Here.
Chief Judge Jeff Bagley.
Here.
Judge Jim Blanchard.
Present.
Excellent. Judge Wes Taylor. Oh, he's not on this one. Judge Al Wong.
Here.
And I know you've got a new president-elect with your council.
Vice Bennett would be our president-elect. I would take office July 1st.
Excellent. Chief Judge Greg Price.
Here.
Judge Render Hurd. Judge Thomas Lakes.
Here.
Judge Sean Rhodes.
I'm here.
Welcome, Judge.
Thank you.
Judge Quinn Casper.
I'm here.
Chief Judge Beryl Anderson.
I am here.
Excellent. Chief Judge Willie Weaver.
Present.
Judge Lori Duff.
I'm here on her behalf, Cynthia. It's Jadanya Baker. Hello.
That's right. Welcome, Judge. I'm so glad to
Thank
have
you.
you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Dawn Jones, President of the State Bar of Georgia.
Hello, everyone.
Cynthia, I saw Judge Cross on there. I don't believe we heard her say present. And Judge Smith joined late. I believe we missed him.
Great. Thank you,
I'm
Cheryl.
here.
Super
Yes.
great.
Yes, and I'm here.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. Chief, that completes the roll.
All right, thank you. And as always, as we begin the meeting, just a reminder that everything's recorded and everything's open to the public. The main, well, before we get to the main business, we have the minutes from our last meeting that need to be approved from the May 4th meeting. The one correction that has been indicated is that Judge Fletcher was present, Judge Fletcher Sams. So with that correction, is there a motion that these be approved?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Those will stand approved. All right, so the main reason why we called this group together, as always, is to discuss briefly the next order that will issue on Monday. The order that will issue on Monday is 99.9% identical to what has been issued before. It basically just extends the past order forward with the change in the dates. What is different is an expectation of termination. We have been saying in all our previous orders that we will give you as advance notice if we expect the statewide judicial emergencies to come to a close. We said that we would give you at least a week's notice. I suspect, based on reading the governor's orders and how those numbers are in relation to the guidance that has been coming out of the CDC and the numbers that are continuing along the trend, that the governor will not extend his judicial emergency order beyond June 30 at midnight, or excuse me, 11:59 p.m. is how I'm interpreting that. And so that would mean that if that were to happen, that our emergency order would come to an end at that time. So the main thing we need to convey to you is that expectation that we will be moving into a world where we're not operating under a statewide judicial emergency order. That means a couple of things. If you look at what's been in our our judicial orders up to this point, the main thing we've been continuing to hold are the statutory speedy trial deadlines and all the deadlines that are imposed on the courts with the removal or the termination of the judicial emergency orders. Those deadlines would be imposed immediately with a big caveat, with a big except. So basically what we would be operating under is a world where everything is back under local control, and the chief judge has whatever authority that they naturally have previously to the COVID pandemic, but also the chief judge has authority under the Judicial Emergency Act. So I would have to say a couple of things about this point. First, it's the chief judge that has the authority under the statute to declare a local emergency, a local judicial emergency, not the other judges of the other classes of court, but it's the chief judge. In the event that the chief judge declares a judicial emergency, it's real important that the chief do so in a way and in a manner consistent with what the Judicial Emergency Act says. And so it's important that the chief judge actually be able to identify the provisions in that order and match those up to the provisions that exist under the statute. I say both of those things because we've been receiving over the course of a year and a half all kinds of orders. Many of them have the judicial emergency language at the top as its caption. Some of those are basic courthouse management orders that really don't rely on an emergency to be able to change how you operate in the midst of a pandemic. But certain functions, only the chief judge has the authority to implement, and those are the ones that are listed in the statute. So just want to make sure that we just remember the actual provisions of the statute as we move forward. There is the authority to under the new legislation that was just passed this past session, for the local courts to suspend the statutory speedy trial requirements. A model order is being worked out that will be coming to you hopefully very, very soon. Ideally, if the chief judge issues this order, it'd be done without a gap in our existing order, so that you don't have to have odd gaps in your calculation as far as when you turn things back on. Likewise, if a chief judge issues an order to suspend any of these other deadlines that are imposed on the court, ideally, those would be done without a gap between the statewide judicial emergency order and your order. That will help you when you open things up and you have to start counting again. So just think about that as a way to kind of relieve some of the confusion going forward for you and your litigants. And then thirdly, there is the authority to declare alternative locations under the statutory amendment that just passed the legislature as well. But that's done, again, pursuant to statute, and make sure that that's done in a way that's consistent with the language in that statute. Those are the main things that we want to share with you. You have a notice that has been sent to you. It actually has all this laid out in a lot more detail. I would ask you to share this with your stakeholders. It'll be helpful for everybody to get all this circulated and digested as soon as possible. We, as the Supreme Court, or I as chief, no longer stand in the way at this point at the end of June in terms of moving forward or imposing restrictions or anything along those lines. All that will mean that everything was back the way it was, except to the extent that there's some type of local judicial emergency order that's in place. Also, I will point out that those orders under the statute are for 30 days at a time, not to exceed 90 days in total. Presiding Justice Nami, is there anything you think anything you think you need to add or want to add to anything I just said?
No, I think you covered it. The notice talks about a lot of this stuff in a lot more detail, but I would just reiterate, if you're issuing orders, make sure you know what authority you're acting under, and whatever that authority is. If it's a statute, make sure it's compliant with the statute or a court rule. And then a whole lot of orders that have been labeled judicial emergency orders really are, as the chief said, they're just orders about who gets to come in and out of your courtroom or courthouse, and public health restrictions. Those are more inherent authority things. But if you are saying that statutes that are in a book are not going to apply, you need to have, it can only be done by the Chief Justice and the Chief Superior Court Judge in accordance with the judicial emergency statute. That's the biggest one. But we're about 3.5 weeks out. But the other thing I'd reiterate is you really do not want there to be a gap of even 1 day, because it's going to be hard enough for everybody to calculate what deadlines apply. And if you have a random gap in, a particular court or a particular circuit of 1 or 2 days, that may lead a lot of judges or litigants to mess up and miss deadlines. That's it, Chief.
Thanks, PJ. I did have a couple of questions. One question was seeking a little bit more guidance as relates to mask and plexiglass and those types of things. I have to confess that, it's really hard to come up with clarity in this space because we're moving really, really fast. Just as soon as you come up with what you think the lay of the land is today, it changes literally by the next week. What we have said before is all these questions will and should be addressed ideally by your local committee. What we can do is, if you come up with solutions and answers and landing spots, we can provide mechanisms to share that with other local committees so everybody can kind of know what the other is doing. But for the most part, the tolerances for some of these restrictions, the sensitivities begin to vary. And we are not at the point where I can say it from a statewide perspective what needs to happen with regard to those quickly and very moving parts. So that's the best I could do in terms of trying to answer that. As far as the federal funds go, your classes of court have submitted to the AOC the itemizations that you would seek funding for. That has been submitted to the governor's office. They have not cringed at those numbers. They are churning through the instructions and guidance that they have received and expect us to receive. We're still some time out on that actually being processed and us getting a real good indication on what that's going to look like for us in terms of how much money and for what purposes. So we're still very much in the wait and see mode in that regard. Did Justice Agrua join us? If so, I'll turn it over to her for a task force report.
Thanks, Chief. We are continuing to meet. We are going to meet the week after next after State Bar to make sure there aren't any more issues and concerns. We knew this order was coming. There will be a number of people out of town because of the State Bar meeting next week. We will, sorry, I'm here. We will keep you updated, and we are hoping, I know I've talked to both you and the presiding justice, hoping to keep the task force together for a while to track concerns and issues as we continue to see them through COVID.
And we've already extended the task force life through the end of this year. And so we're glad to be able to enjoy the benefit of their service and collegiality up to that point.
And so, Chief,
yes, ma'am.
Is this the last Judicial Council meeting for you?
Yeah,
I just thought I might mention it and thank you. From the task force and me personally, we could have not have survived COVID without your graceful, patient, steady leadership. And on a personal note, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do without you here.
Thank you, Judge. Well, you know what you mean to me personally, and thank you. So yes, it's like my fifth last Judicial Council meeting, but yes, this is the last one. And I remain grateful to everybody here for just being so all in and getting us together through this process. With that, let's go around the horn real quick, and then we'll be done. I do know we have Chief Judge McFadden from the Court of Appeals.
Thank you, Chief Justice. And for my last meeting, I actually do have an announcement. I'm very pleased to announce that on Monday morning at 10:30, we'll be unveiling a portrait of the late Judge Debbie Burns in our courtroom. It is possible to attend on Zoom. An invitation was sent around with the link, and the link is also on our homepage above the pictures. We'll be having I misspoke. The event on Monday is for the Honorable Harris Adams. We'll be having a similar event, and we'll be unveiling a portrait of him by his daughter, Elizabeth Adams. We'll be unveiling a portrait of Judge Burns on July 13th. Thank you. That's it. And goodbye.
Thank you, Chief, and it's been a pleasure serving with you. Judge Walt Davis, Business Court.
Nothing to report, Mr. Chief. Thank you.
Judge Wade Padgett, Superior Court Judges.
Nothing to report, sir. Thank you very much.
I think we have Judge Al Wong for the State Court Judges.
Nothing to report, Chief.
Okay. Judge Greg Price, Juvenile Court.
No report. Thank you, sir.
Judge Thomas Lakes with Probate Court.
Nothing to report, Chief. Thank you.
All right. Judge Quinn Casper. I didn't know if Judge Quinn Casper was here for magistrate.
Judge, we don't have a report. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And I think it was Judge Baker with the Municipal Court Judges.
Chief Judge Williams.
Actually, Judge Weaver is here.
Oh, I see Judge Weaver. Okay, Judge Weaver.
There's no report. Thank you.
All right. Madam President, Dawn Jones.
My last two words, Chief, include the fact that I've been grateful. I've been very grateful for the support of everyone participating in these meetings and the information you've shared and giving us an opportunity as a bar to weigh in on these important matters. So thank you very much. It's been my pleasure to serve. I look forward to seeing every one of you, hopefully, next week at our annual meeting, a hybrid event. We've worked very hard. The staff is still working very hard and tirelessly. If you are having any issues with booking a room, please reach out directly to Michelle Garner at michelleg@gabar.org. Michelle G@gabar.org. And with that, I look forward to seeing everyone and celebrating our successes, as well as closing out our bar work for the end of the year. Be safe, be well.
Thank you. And Ms. Clanton.
AOC remains fully functional. Please let me know what we can do to help you.
Very well said. Council of Accountability Court Judges, Judge Goslin or Mr. Becker?
No report, but I want to ditto everything that Justice LaGrua said about your leadership, Chief Justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Tracy Johnson, Commission on Dispute Resolution. Okay. Council Superior Court Clerks, Ms. Tina Robinson or Mr. Holloman?
This is Mr. Holloman. We have nothing to report, except I would like to also personally extend my thanks to the chief for the inclusive nature of his tenure as chief, and look forward to working with the new chief.
Thanks, Mike. And you weren't on the call when I said nice things about you last time, so.
I heard through the grapevine, and it's appreciated.
Madam Carlise Grill, Commission on Professionalism.
Hi, Chief. I wanted to, first of all, echo everyone's thanks to you for your leadership during this past year, during the pandemic. And also just to quickly thank Justice Bethel for his help with our COE last week, as well as the AOC and all those who participated. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Robin Rooks, Council of Court Administrators.
Chief Justice, I don't have a report. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ashworth.
No report. Thank you, sir. And
lastly, Mr. Chuck Boring, JQC.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice. Just to let everyone know, the hearing panel of the JQC has issued its first proposed formal advisory opinion on a topic. This one being dealing with events like protest marches and other things like that, as far as judges' participation in it. That is a proposed formal advisory opinion. It has been posted per JQC rules on the JQC website, the commission website, also on the AOC's website and the state bar. There is a period of time for public comment. Obviously, you all may have some opinions and thoughts on that. Just for the record, this was drafted by the hearing panel, so the comments will come through to our staff and will be forwarded to the hearing panel. So they will be the ones really taking that into consideration. But that is open until July the 6th. After that, the hearing panel will take into consideration any comments that they get and then follow the procedures as our rules go forth. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out or email if for some reason you can't find it on one of the websites. But we just want to get as much, I know the hearing panel would like to get as much input as possible from the people this impact the most before it goes on to the next stage. So with that, again, thank you, Chief Justice, for your service over this time. I know it's been trying for everybody, and it's good to see us coming out the other side.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bourne. Ms. Clanton, you have a presentation of sorts.
Chief, I do. So you have been a wonderful Judicial Council chair these last 3 years. And during that time, you've chaired over 40 Judicial Council meetings, which is, congratulations, a new world record. As our Judicial Council leader, you brought us together during crisis and grief. You also celebrated our new appointments, retirements, and our judicial branch babies and pets. Your leadership has been one of courage, integrity, and unfailing good humor. So on this final emergency meeting, which I believe is your 36th. Please accept this picture as a token of the Judicial Council AOC's heartfelt appreciation for you. And I think Kevin should be bringing it into your office shortly, and you will have it in your office momentarily.
Beautiful. Thank you.
It features the old judicial building where you spent most of your career, and also displays the Judicial Council gavel with the Auburn insignia, which is very important. So, and here comes Kevin with the actual picture. So Judicial Council members, join me in giving the chief a round of applause. Hey.
Thank you. And it means a lot because I just feel like I know your heart, and we've worked in so many different capacities over the last 16 years, and it means a lot to receive that from you folks. And thank you all again. I won't belabor the point, but it means a lot to me. Looking ahead on our calendar, we have the general session schedule. So regular meeting in Columbus. And in December, there'll be a meeting by Zoom. And I know everybody looks forward to the August meeting in person and get to see each other. If you get a chance, there's a favorite barbecue spot down there, Smoky Pig. I highly recommend it. That concludes our business for today, folks. Thank y'all. Y'all be safe, and let us know if you have any questions. Judge Leonard, if you could stay on the call, and Judge Padgett, if you could stay on the call, and PJ, can you stay on the call just briefly, please?
We'll see everybody in August.
Hey, Chief.
Bye.